Hi, I'm Matt with Hoboken Horology, and today I want to talk about the Apple Watch versus the Casio calculator watch. I'm going to do this review based on the Apple Watch without a phone, right? So if you go into the Apple store and you buy an Apple Watch and you never connect it to a phone, that's what I would like to base this comparison on compared to the calculator watch, which if you go into a store and you buy a calculator watch. So this is basically a shootout with both pieces without any extra support. So the Apple Watch without a phone and the calculator watch on its own. So let's go into a close-up review of just the calculator watch's features before we go into the shootout. And I'd like to go over, this watch has a database mode, it has a calculator, it's got an alarm, it's got dual time, it's got 24 hours of nighttime illumination, it's got all of these things, calculator of course with buttons. I would like to cover real quick before I go into this comparison. Here is my calculator watch, and you can see it in all of its glory. It's gold glory here. And let's start with the bracelet, actually. And taking it off, the clip clips into place, and then you just lift it off. And this is a lot like my JB Champion bracelet. If you've watched that video, you have to lift this up. I actually used a screwdriver, but I wrapped the head in tape, just, one layer of tape, and I had to put it in here and then lift it up. But it's very easy to adjust. So let's go over this calculator watch. This is a quick review so that we can kind of further discuss this versus the Apple Watch. So what we have here is we have A, B, C, and L. L is for the light, which is a bit difficult to see, but if I cover it, you can see a little bit of a light there. Unfortunately, that is one downfall, is the light is on one side, which is a little bit of something that, I'd like to see it more illuminated, but there's no hiding when I'm shooting this. This is a Saturday, 4:43, and there's the seconds, 2017, April 1st. What's cool about this watch is that when you go to a different mode, so first mode is the address book, and you can see it says HH video. I wanted to make a long enough text up there so you can see it scrolling. And I put a phone number in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then there's a 1. And it's pretty cool that you could just do this. I click again, here's the calculator. Now remember, with all of these modes, the real time, the running time is still on the bottom. So first and foremost, this is always a wristwatch. You can always tell what time it is. These little buttons really are something to think about when you buy one of these watches, because they are pretty tight. They're very small. But that being said, it's... let's see how we can reset this. All right, let's go back to calculator. Yeah. So I'm just flicking through. Okay, so we had the address book and the calculator. And then here's my alarm. Here's an 8:59 alarm. And you can set a specific date. I actually had a little trouble setting the date. When I did, the alarm didn't completely go off. Here's a stopwatch. Now this is pretty cool. You can stop the watch. Whoops, I went back to the other mode. You can stop the watch. So even though we have the time stopped, so we stopped at 9 seconds, it's probably roughly 16 seconds. So I'm gonna start it again, and it jumps to where it should be. So that way, if I'm timing a runner, the runner stopped. So I write down my time, 21 seconds. I start the time again, the other runner stops, and now it's 34 seconds. It's pretty interesting. Oh, and one more thing about the stopwatch that's pretty great is that I turned off the sound of the watch for every time I change function, because I thought if I was using this in a realistic setting and at work, it would get very annoying very quickly that they constantly hear the chirping. So I disabled it, but it is still turned on for the stopwatch, which is great because you want that chirp to know exactly when you're stopping and starting. This is my second time zone. This is the time in Los Angeles. Right now we're on the East Coast. I work with a lot of people from Los Angeles, so sometimes it's nice to have their time displayed on the watch. If I click this, I get my 24-hour time. Click it back. And that's about it. As we were recording the video, I actually mistakenly turned on the light mode. There's a little LT. These are all your current running modes. There was a little LT, and what the light mode does, just like the Apple Watch, when you turn it up toward the wrist, the light will turn on to show the time. So you can actually have it automated to show you the time when you check and flick your wrist. It's really amazing. They really thought of it all. But as I've said before, first and foremost, this is a wristwatch when it comes down to it, and I thought that I would have people actually commenting on this when I wore this, or that somebody would have something to say about me punching away at a calculator on my wrist when I needed to do some math. But nobody said anything yet. It's really shocking. I especially because I bought the gold, which is quite ugly. This bracelet is terrible. I mean, look at it. It's so aged. It's so old. But they still sell this watch brand new, and I think it's really cool. Let's start with price. The Apple Watch goes for $369, brand new. This is the Sport model, and this is Series 2. Now I chose the Sport model because it's the same as the others, but I think it comes on rubber, and also it's the cheapest that you can choose. The Casio calculator watch was around $54 on Amazon. So, the iWatch, or the Apple Watch, has 50 meters water resistance. Very impressive for a watch that has based solely on electronics. The Casio watch is just water resistant. I couldn't find an exact figure, but I have worn this in the rain without problems. The Apple Watch is 38 mils and 42 mils. This is 32. Definitely thinner, but it does wear a little bit larger because it is so long. Battery life on the Apple Watch. The battery life on the Apple Watch is 18 hours, and that's based on what Apple says. The battery life on this watch is 3 years based on what Casio says. Even if you take a year off, let's say Casio overestimated, or it was running for a year before you bought it, it's still 2 years compared to 18 hours. You won't even get a day out of the Apple Watch till it needs a charge. This will get 3 years. I'm pretty confident in the battery on this watch. Now, let's talk about features. This is where things get really interesting. The Apple Watch can track fitness. You can browse photos, and you can do timers and alarms. That is about it. That is so far what I can get. I talked to a friend of mine who owns an Apple Watch, and he says unless you're connected to a phone, it really doesn't have any features. Even the photos on the Apple Watch would have to be put in through a computer, whereas the calculator watch has a data bank of 25 names and numbers. I showed a example of mine in my review, but when I'm signing paperwork, I don't always remember phone numbers. Everything is saved in my phone. It's easy for me to use my phone and not have to really look at phone numbers. But it is kind of a relief having this on my wrist, knowing that those phone numbers are just, a tap away, a single tap. And I have about 5 numbers stored in my watch right now. And they're the 5 people that I would ever have to reach out to in case of an emergency. And it's great to have those on my wrist. This has alarms and stopwatch functions, just like the Apple Watch dual time. I don't know if the Apple Watch has dual time. I'm assuming it does, but I don't know if it does. And here's the big one, a calculator. Calculators are a very basic function that has been on computers since the beginning of time. That's what computers were built for, to basically be extreme calculators and to do mathematical equations and to do things logically for us and make our lives easier. The Apple Watch does not have a stock calculator on it. At least my friend who owns a Series 1, I called him on the phone and he says it does not have a stock calculator on it. This guy does. So if you need to have a small amount of numbers from your phone book, 25 people is more than enough. You can have extended family, close family, and some friends on there. You have 25 phone numbers, you have a calculator, you have a stopwatch, you have an alarm to wake you up in the morning, and you have this beautiful gold, all at the low price of $55, which is a little high. It's a little high for a digital watch like this, but you're also buying something that's a icon of the 80s. Marty McFly from Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox's character, he wore a silver calculator watch. I believe it's the same model, but in silver. And it is a staple of the 80s. The ugly look of it, it's hideous. I mean, it's an ugly watch. But that being said, I don't want to insult anyone, but the Apple Watch doesn't exactly win a beauty contest. The Apple Watch isn't known for being particularly stylish. They've gotten away with a lot because they're Apple and people love their products and people will buy them because they have their name on them. That being said, the Apple Watch isn't exactly the nicest looking timepiece out there, and smartwatches all together have never been known for being quite attractive looking. That being said, this is quite ugly. This is probably the ugliest watch I've ever owned. I love wearing it. It's very thin. I haven't used the calculator practically. I've only had to use it about twice now. But it is pretty cool having it right there and having a discussion about how much it would cost to pay for something because we had X amount of people coming to this party and we wanted to see how much the party favors would cost for each one. I could easily just click into the calculator and do the multiplication right there, and it was pretty entertaining. This watch isn't an extension of my smartphone. That's what an Apple Watch kind of is. It's an extension of your smartphone. It is a screen that connects to your smartphone that you wear on your wrist. This is different. This is its own thing. This is its own watch. But, don't take this too seriously. It's just a fun comparison. I think it's funny that this watch, can do a lot more than some smartwatches because they're so dependent on cell phones. So that's it for today. My name is Matt from Hoboken Horology. You could have been watching any video out there on YouTube, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So thank you for watching.